Welcome to Royal Daily Report, your trusted source for royal family news and exclusive revelations. I'm bringing you today's shocking story about Markus Anderson's confession that shook Meghan and Harry's marriage. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for more explosive royal updates. We've always been close, intimate even. That never changed, not even after Harry. Those weren't the words of a jealous ex. They didn't come from a blogger trying to stir trouble. They came from Markus Anderson himself, Meghan Markle's longtime close friend, a man people once described as her other half. Sources say these words were whispered casually off record over drinks. A moment where Markus let honesty slip out of him like steam escaping a boiling pot. But once those words leaked, nothing was ever the same. They tore through the polished image of Meghan and Harry's love story. They made people question timelines, connections, and loyalties. They forced the world to look backward to a time long before crowns, castles, and royal duties. Because if Markus was telling the truth, then Meghan's marriage didn't begin on a clean slate. It began on top of something else, a bond that had already been formed, a closeness that refused to fade, a shadow Harry never realized he had stepped into. And so to understand why this one confession caused such chaos, we have to go years back to the moment Markus Anderson first entered Meghan Markle's life. Before his name appeared in headlines, Markus was simply a boy from Ontario. He didn't grow up with wealth or titles. He didn't have a powerful family pushing him through doors. Instead, he had something far more valuable. He understood people. He knew how to read a room, how to make someone feel important, how to listen in a way that made even the richest and most guarded people relax. That talent became his ticket into the world's upper circles. His rise began at Soho House, the private members-only club, where secrets were traded as freely as champagne. Remember to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for more exclusive stories. At first, Markus was just another staff member. But quickly he became something entirely different, a quiet gatekeeper. The person who decided who entered certain rooms, who stayed out, and who met whom. People trusted him, people talked around him. And in a world where information is currency, Markus became rich long before anyone noticed. But the moment that changed everything came when a young actress from Los Angeles, filming a TV show in Toronto, walked into his orbit. Her name was Meghan Markle. That one connection would change both of their lives forever. When Meghan met Markus, something clicked instantly. It wasn't romantic. Not at first. It was something deeper. A mix of ambition, belonging, and emotional chemistry that made them move through the world like two pieces of the same puzzle. Meghan was driven. Markus was connected. Together, they were unstoppable. He introduced her to designers who could elevate her image, producers who could open new opportunities, and social circles that could change her career overnight. He didn't just support her, he shaped her path. Bit by bit, he helped build the polished public version of Meghan the world would later fall in love with. But behind the photos and glamorous nights, there was something more private. People close enough to observe them noticed how they communicated with almost no words. A glance, a nod, a quiet smile. It was like they shared a secret language. They traveled together across cities like Madrid, Istanbul, and London. They drifted through exclusive gatherings side by side, always slightly out of the public's full view. As if their connection worked best in the spaces no one else could see. Markus wasn't just a best friend. He was Meghan's anchor, her strategist, her safe place when life felt uncertain. And long before Harry, long before palaces, long before vows, Markus held a part of Meghan's life that no one else touched. It was a bond strong enough to survive every change. A bond powerful enough that when Meghan eventually stepped into the world of royalty, Markus didn't vanish. He followed quietly, faithfully, and always close. Stay tuned to Royal Daily Report for the complete story. As Meghan's life expanded, Markus wasn't just standing beside her. He was shaping the path ahead. He understood how image, timing, and connections could build a person into something the world couldn't ignore. And Meghan trusted him enough to let him guide every step. When she needed introductions, Markus opened the doors. When she doubted her worth, Markus reminded her of the future she was chasing. When she took risks, he made sure someone influential was watching. Behind the scenes, Markus treated Meghan's life like a project he believed in. He connected her with stylists and designers who fit her evolving brand. He brought her into private dinners where careers were decided in whispers. He made sure she was seen by the right people and unnoticed by the wrong ones. It wasn't manipulation. It was orchestration, a quiet, deliberate molding of Meghan Markle into a version of herself the world would one day recognize on magazine covers and red carpets. By the time Meghan's name began floating into higher circles, Markus' fingerprints were already on every opportunity she stepped into. He wasn't bragging, he wasn't loud, he didn't need to be. He was the invisible force behind the transformation, and because of that, he was the one person who understood both who Meghan had been and who she was becoming. In 2016, Markus arranged something that looked simple on paper. A stay for Meghan at Soho Farmhouse, a luxury retreat famous for silence, secrecy, and the kind of privacy where powerful people could breathe. But sources claim this wasn't just a casual trip. Markus organized her booking, handled the invites, and quietly curated the environment around her. And according to those who were there that weekend, this was the place where Meghan met Prince Harry for the first time. Don't miss any updates. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report now. Some say it was coincidence. Others say Markus had a hand in every detail. But one thing is certain. After Meghan and Harry talked for the first time, something changed. She called Markus almost immediately, her voice bright, nervous, excited. She said, "He's different." Markus didn't laugh. He didn't tease. Instead, he gave her advice that reshaped everything that followed. "Then, make sure he sees the version of you the world doesn't." It was the kind of sentence only someone who truly knew her could say, the kind that hinted he understood Meghan in ways even Harry didn't yet, whether it was fate or careful planning. Markus had become the bridge between her old world and the one with a prince waiting on the other side. And without him, that first spark might never have caught fire. At first, Harry liked Markus. They shared dinners, jokes, relaxed conversations. It felt easy until Harry realized Markus wasn't just a friend from Meghan's past. He was woven into every part of her present. Harry noticed how Meghan changed around Markus. Not colder, not distant, but freer. She laughed quicker. She moved with more confidence. She didn't filter herself the way she did with others. And for a man who had spent his life battling insecurities and public pressure, the realization hit harder than he expected. He hadn't just entered Meghan's life. He had stepped into a story already running long before he arrived. Markus was at every milestone, the secret trips, the engagement celebrations, the nights Meghan needed someone to confide in. He wasn't loud or demanding, but he didn't fade either. Slowly, Harry began to feel something no prince is trained to handle: competition for the one person he loved most. It wasn't about romance. It was about history, about closeness that can't be copied. About two people who had built a bond so strong it hummed quietly underneath every interaction. Keep watching Royal Daily Report for the shocking details. According to palace sources, Meghan didn't hide that Markus mattered. And Harry didn't hide the discomfort growing in the space between them. This was no longer a simple friendship. It was an unspoken triangle, one that would shape the rest of their story. Once Meghan stepped into royal life, most people expected her old world to fade quietly behind her. But that wasn't what happened. Instead, Markus seemed to move with her, not physically at every moment, but emotionally, strategically, and always close enough that his presence lingered. Palace staff soon noticed patterns that didn't fit the fairy tale picture. Meghan took Markus calls late at night, long after official schedules ended. His name appeared in planning meetings when it didn't need to. Private lunches were brushed off as just catching up, yet they always seemed to happen at the most sensitive times. These weren't dramatic scenes. They were subtle, small moments that felt too intentional to ignore. According to one aide, Prince Harry tried not to think much of it at first. He wanted to trust Meghan fully. He wanted to believe Markus was simply a loyal friend from another chapter of her life. But trust becomes fragile when little details stopped making sense. There were texts Meghan deleted before Harry could see them. There were trips where Meghan and Markus ended up in the same cities, without clear explanations. There were conversations where her tone softened the moment Markus's name was mentioned. Finally, during a tense moment, Harry whispered the question that had been growing inside him. Why does he still need to be around? And Meghan's answer wasn't gentle, because he's the only one who's never left. Those words didn't break the marriage, but they cracked something inside it. And from that crack, everything else began to slip through. Markus' now famous confession didn't begin as a headline. It began as a quiet conversation in a dim room with a journalist present. Someone who wasn't supposed to repeat it, someone who was trusted to keep it off the record. After a few drinks, Markus spoke freely, not bragging, not emotional, simply honest. "We've always been close," he said. "Intimate even. That never really changed, not even after Harry." Royal Daily Report brings you the truth others won't tell. Those words carried weight, enough weight that the journalist couldn't ignore them. Within days, what began as a whisper became a printed line. And once that sentence reached the public, it was unstoppable. News outlets dissected every photo where Markus stood beside Meghan. Timeline charts popped up, showing overlaps in their lives. Every subtle gesture suddenly looked meaningful. Inside Buckingham Palace, the reaction was immediate and serious. Late-night meetings were held. Advisors reviewed confidentiality agreements. According to one source, the real worry wasn't the confession itself. It was the possibility that Markus might say more. Because Markus Anderson had been inside their private planes, their protected events, their tight inner circles. He knew things. He had seen things. And now the world knew he was willing to speak. In Montecito, Harry went silent. In London, the palace went cold. And the story shifted from gossip to threat. When the confession reached him, Harry didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He didn't even respond at first. According to those around him, he withdrew into himself, pacing through their Montecito garden for hours, thinking, replaying, connecting dots he had ignored for years. He remembered texts Meghan hid with a quick smile. Trips, she explained to Isley. Moments where she defended Markus without hesitation. Inside jokes they shared that he never quite understood. But it was a discovery on Meghan's laptop that changed everything. There was a folder of old photos, pictures from her Toronto years. In nearly every image, Markus was beside her, his hand on her shoulder, their faces close, their smiles easy and familiar, like two people who never needed to pretend for each other. When Harry saw those images, something inside him broke. That night, he didn't sleep. By morning, he was gone, checked into a quiet retreat in Aspen to clear his head. Sources say it was the first true distance between them since leaving royal life. Meanwhile, behind palace walls, advisors were preparing for more fallout. If Markus spoke again, it wouldn't just embarrass the monarchy. It could expose secrets they never wanted touched. And with Harry gone, Meghan faced a question she had never wanted to confront. Had she truly moved on from Markus, or just moved forward without letting go? Many months, many days have passed, and yet Harry and Meghan still smiled in public. They still appeared united, but something invisible, something fragile, had shifted in their marriage. Subscribe to Royal Daily Report for continuing coverage of this story. Meghan grew quieter, more careful. Her inner circle shrank until only a few people remained. The woman once surrounded by friends now protected herself like someone afraid of being misunderstood again. And Markus, he slipped back into the shadows he had ruled so easily. No statements, no interviews, just a calm smile spotted here and there in London cafes. A look that made people wonder what stories he still carried and why he chose to remain silent. Now the world moved on to new headlines. But one question stayed behind like an echo. What exactly did Markus mean when he said their closeness never changed? Was it honesty? Was it revenge? Or was it the one truth Meghan's new life could never erase? In the end, the story was never just about scandal. It was about connections built long before crowns and cameras. About old loyalties refusing to disappear. About how the people who shaped us don't always step aside when new chapters begin. And if one sentence from Markus could shake a royal love story this deeply, what would happen if he ever chose to speak again? Is the story truly over? Or is this only the beginning of what Markus Anderson knows? That's the shocking story for today from Royal Daily Report. The relationship between Markus Anderson and Meghan Markle continues to raise questions that may never be fully answered. We'll continue following this story as it develops. Make sure to subscribe to Royal Daily Report and turn on notifications so you never miss our exclusive royal investigations. Thank you for watching Royal Daily Report, where we uncover the secrets behind the royal headlines.